Imagine being sent back in time to the Stone Age. I will have just 100 days to form the biggest and most powerful caveman tribe in all of ancient history. I will be facing deadly prehistoric enemies, crafting powerful ancient tools, exploring primal locations, and even battling a gigantic T-Rex. Will I survive the bloodthirsty dinos and become the most powerful caveman that ever lived? Let's find out. Day 1 was extremely intense. I was being chased by a tribe of cavemen, and they were furious. If that spear got me, it would be over before it started. So I took a leap of faith.
You won't get away with this! Ooga, ooga!
I may have escaped those guys, but there were more cavemen to take on. They were chasing after me. I had no choice but to sprint away as fast as possible. I sought refuge in this small building, found a chest, and grabbed some quick loot. My heart was racing. I was cornered. They attacked me with their spear. Just 2.5 hearts. But I managed to sprint away and escape. Woo! So there I was, stranded in the middle of the jungle, and you're probably wondering why these cavemen were chasing me. Well, this is Ooga Kingdom, home of the cavemen that will be hunting me down for the next 100 days. Why, you ask? Well, you see this guy? This is the evil Ooga, the leader of the Ooga tribe, and that skull staff he's holding has special abilities, and I almost got my hands on it until I was chased by his goons, and now I'm stuck here, wondering what ancient and powerful abilities I could have had. If I am to attack again, I'm gonna need to be way more prepared, so I grabbed some wood, made some basic tools, and began my journey to get that staff. I noticed there was some Stone Age gear to craft, the easiest being the stone axe. So I grabbed some cobblestone, combined it with the string, and made myself an ancient axe, which gave me efficiency. It would allow me to collect a ton of resources much quicker. I can't wait to see what the other ancient items do. Whilst I was grabbing cobblestone, I was ambushed by a triceratops. I had no choice but to sprint away. With just half a heart, I couldn't risk dying, so I headed underground. This thing was huge. I headed deep underground where I felt more safe and did what cavemen do best, collecting resources. But then I came across this giant lush cave. This place was absolutely mesmerizing, filled with glowberries and beautiful water pools. This would be the foundation for my new home. With such low health, I needed some food, so I grabbed some glowberries and feasted on their squishy texture. I then headed down to explore this beautiful area, grabbing resources along the way. Whilst I was mining, I heard a strange sound. Somebody was crying. I went to investigate. It seemed to be another caveman. But before we find out what he has to say, let's talk about today's sponsor, Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact takes place in the beautiful open world of Teyvat. With 3 incredible regions to explore, you can climb, swim, and even glide your way across Teyvat's beautiful landscapes. Genshin Impact offers an advanced elemental combat system which allows you to strategize and deal some insane damage, and you'll look pretty cool doing it. My favorite feature is Genshin Impact's engaging storyline, with unique characters who team up with you on your journey. You can even team up with your friends in co-op and complete challenges for awesome rewards. With Genshin Impact's newest update, Zephyr of the Violet Garden, you'll have the chance to get the returning character Kamisato Ayaka. You'll also get the chance to explore the insane new area, the Chasm, all whilst participating in new events and playing new minigames. Thanks again to Genshin Impact for sponsoring the video. Use the link in my description to start your journey across Teyvat today. Now, back to the video. Please don't tell anyone I'm here. I'm being hunted by the Ooga tribe.
Oh, it's you they're hunting. Listen, if you can rescue my brother, I promise to keep your secret. I'll even join your tribe.
Wow, thank you. But what happened to your brother?
We were kidnapped by a nearby tribe. I got away, but they have my brother locked up in a cage with no food, and I'm not strong enough to take them on.
Oh no! Can you remember where the camp is?
Yes, they're on the other side of the jungle. You should craft a spyglass. It'll help you get a better view and find where they're keeping my brother. Take this bow too. It's my brother's. It contains an ancient power I've yet to discover.
This ancient bow looked awesome, but I couldn't let it distract me from my mission at hand. I promised this caveman I would track down that camp and bring his brother back all in one piece. So it was time to get to work. I headed out grabbing resources, collecting glowberries for food, and I also got stuck under some gravel because I was trying to get flint.
Hello? Anyone?
I smelted up the ores and crafted a full set of iron armor. Magic. I then headed out to track down some amethyst. It took a couple of days, but I finally found an amethyst geode. Once I returned home, I sorted my inventory and crafted the spyglass. I will use this to spy on the camp. I was also curious to find out what abilities this bow would grant me. It was time to head out and find the caveman's brother. The jungle is an extremely daunting place, and it's filled with dinosaurs, just like these raptors. I had no choice but to defend myself against these ravenous beasts. I was countering their bites with my ancient axe, picking my shots. The ravenous raptors began to back me into a corner and deal serious amounts of damage. With just half a heart, I defeated 2 of the raptors, but I had to run away, regain my strength, and head back in to deal the final blow to the final raptor. All that was left of the dinosaur was its meat. I made it to the other side of the jungle and stumbled across this structure with a winged-like creature sleeping nearby. But as I approached, it launched high into the sky and started spitting venomous goo at me. It began to slow me down. I had no choice but to face this pterodactyl. So many dinosaurs, man. Give me a break. I was ducking and dodging the pterodactyl's venomous spit and then striking it with my ancient axe, finally defeating it. I then investigated the area in hopes to find the camp, but there was nothing here. So I decided to get a better look and head up top and use the spyglass to see if I could see something. Into the distance, I noticed a very light array of smoke in the horizon. So I decided to wait until sunset to see if I could get a better look of the nearby camp. The smoke was really obvious now. This had to be the camp that the caveman told me about, so I headed in for a better look. I used my spyglass to scope out the area and try and find the caveman's brother, but all I could see was tribesmen. This place absolutely reeked of danger, so I decided, why not use the bow that the caveman gave me and uncover the powers that he spoke of. I pulled the string back and launched an arrow high into the sky. Wow! I was blind, but now I see. This bow's power highlights enemies. This would make my life a lot easier when I'm sneaking through the camp. It was mesmerizing. I waited until the next day before I decided to head into the camp. It was my time to strike. I pulled out my skull bow and struck the first caveman. I then jumped down and continued to bash him with my axe. He was trying to stab me with his spear, but he stood no match, and I struck him down. He dropped a skull that I could use to craft things with later on. With the combination of my ancient bow and ancient axe, I was making great progress working through the camp. I came across a cage, but there was no sign of the caveman's brother, just this raptor. I snuck through the camp, dodging the enemies, when finally, there he is! I found him! I raced to the cage, told him that his brother had sent me, and freed him from his misery.
Woohoo! You saved me, kid! I'm free!
Not yet, you're not. We gotta sneak out of here. I explained to the caveman that there's still enemies around, so we'd have to sneak out of here as quietly as possible. We managed to get past the first guard, and when I saw a moment to run, I took it! We sprinted as fast as we could away from the camp. We paddled through water and sprinted over land until finally I made it back home. It was so heartwarming to see the 2 brothers reunite. They both thanked me for everything I'd done and offered to help me get my hands on that skull staff. They also asked me the name of my tribe. So how about you guys comment below the best name you can think of? The next day, I decided to do a little bit of building, so I worked on a small area, a workstation where I could store the skulls that I'll use later on to craft ancient weapons. It wasn't the coolest build in the world, but it looked okay for now. I then made some slight improvements, adding campfires here and there because cavemen love fire. And whoa, is that diamonds? How did I not notice them? They've been here the whole time. I love diamonds so much. The little blue twinkle, it never gets old. After this, I used the little resources I had to craft a brutal caveman club. It looked insane, and I was tired of eating glowberries, so I decided to head up top and try and get a better source of food. My first target was this Spinosaurus. He was colossal in size, but I used my brutal caveman club to bonk him on the head and knock him out. I then continued to collect as much food as possible, taking out dinosaurs left, right, and center, including this guy. I tried to use my bow and take it out from a distance, but I had no choice but to close the gap and defeat this beast. These dinosaurs are pretty scary. After killing it, it dropped a ton of food. A good few days of hunting. As the sun set, I was completely overwhelmed by raptors. I didn't think I was going to make it. I sprinted away as fast as possible. I spent the entire night dodging these vicious predators. And once I finally made it back home, I filled my caveman's bellies with dino meat. And also including my own, because I was absolutely starving. If I was going to take out Uga and get that staff, I'd need way more caveman in my tribe. So I decided to head out and start recruiting. Whilst I was exploring, I came across this guy.
Help me! This can eat me alive!
This poor caveman was being attacked by a triceratops, so I headed in with my caveman club and took it out, saving his life.
Ooh, wow, thank you. I thought I was toast. Phew.
The caveman was so grateful he joined my tribe, so I informed him of the location of my secret base, whilst I continued my hunt over the next few days for new members, including these two.
You're the only one that got into this mess. How did you not see the trap rope?
These guys were trapped, so I freed them with my axe.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Great One. You saved us.
My caveman army was growing each and every day. I couldn't believe it. Things were going smoothly until this happened. I had stumbled across a giant skeleton attacking a caveman. I had no choice but to head in to help. I struck this undead beast with my ancient axe, but it was fierce and it was strong. It was doing extreme damage with its spin attacks. This undead creature seemed immortal, and with one strike, it got me down to just half a heart. I sprinted away, grabbed some berries, and decided to pick my shots with a bow. I finally defeated this ancient creature. I've battled dinos, but nothing like this, so I decided to head after the caveman. Hopefully he could explain where this thing came from.
I got too close to the temple, that's all.
Temple?
Yeah, you know, the one where they keep Scar.
Ooh, who's Scar? Sounds kind of scary.
Scar is the T-Rex that almost defeated Ooga, the evil Ooga. But he struck him down using that skull staff, and the ancients serve any who wields it, so Ooga made him lock him up. He's been there many years, that poor dino.
What if I freed him? We could defeat Ooga together.
Good luck, kid. Those ancient skeletons are tough.
This was perfect. If I could free the T-Rex from the temple, he could help me get my hands on that skull staff and defeat Ooga. So I headed home to prepare, recruiting as many cavemen as I could on the way. It was perfect. They protected me while I collected resources. They followed me everywhere I went. We even found one of Ooga's tribe members hunting us, but he stood no match for me and my tribe. I made it back home and I was in awe of how fast my caveman army was growing, so I decided to build a small area in which my caveman could rest up. I had to make sure they were strong and ready to battle Ooga when the time comes. But we weren't prepared just yet, so I told my caveman to chill out here whilst I go out and grab some resources. I noticed in the crafting table a couple of ancient tools I could craft with skulls and diamonds, so I headed out to do my favorite thing ever, mining. I spent the next few days mining resources and battling dinos in this beautiful lush cave. Just look at this. It's a caveman's dream home. This cave was riddled with diamonds, so I got to work collecting them up. I stumbled across a mine shaft with chests filled with skulls, so I raced back home as fast as I possibly could, crafted myself the diamond tools, and then used the skulls to upgrade them. And the final result was insane. The skull pickaxe looked awesome, and the skull sword looked deadly. The last few days of hard work really paid off. I decided to give my new pickaxe a test, and then it was time to head out and find that temple. I was going to free that T-Rex. So I got a good night's rest, said goodbye to my tribe, and headed out. I clawed through dino-infested jungles for days and still nothing, until I came to the edge of the island and noticed some ancient skeletons congregated. I was close. These little guys attacked me with no hesitation, juking left and right, trying to flank me, but I used my new sword to take them down. The ancients tried to conquer me with teamwork, but nothing was going to stop me and my new ancient sword. I took the final enemy down. I then continued my hunt for the temple, and finally, I found it. I headed in. This thing was absolutely ginormous, and the ancients were waiting for me. I was determined to find that T-Rex, so I battled the first few minions. They weren't too difficult, but then things got tough.
Be prepared to face death, mortal.
This giant undead beast wielded an enormous blade that dealt tons of damage. My ancient skull sword dealt bleeding damage, so I managed to strike him with my blade and watch as its soul poured from its bones.
You are weak.
The monster towered over me, leaving me with just 1.5 hearts. I had no choice but to eat some food, step away, and start picking my bow shots. And with strategic moves, I finally managed to defeat the beast. It wasn't over yet. I was being targeted by ancient archers, and their bows did extreme amounts of damage. It was kind of surprising for such a small little bow. I regened with food and then chased after this little guy with my caveman club, defeating him. I scaled the giant temple stairway, facing the horrors that the ancients were sending after me. The undead rose from the ground. They were doing everything in their power to stop me from reaching the top, but I was determined to get inside and free that T-Rex, so I took them on with my bow. I cleared the area of the last few ancients, took a deep breath, and headed in. It was freezing in here. This place had been left alone for a long time. There's Scar! I couldn't wait to tell him that I was freeing him from this prison. I jumped down. I was so excited to speak to him. Ta-da! I've come to sit. This was not part of my plan. The giant T-Rex was trying to eat me alive. Listen, I'm the good guy. I'm trying to help you. I was reluctant to fight back, but the T-Rex left me no choice. But it just angered him even more.
The voices.
Ground pound after ground pound. This T-Rex was relentless chasing after me. With a swipe of his tail, he hit me high into the sky. I was losing extreme amounts of damage. The T-Rex tried to swallow me whole. Enough is enough. I pulled out my ancient skull blade and struck him down.
Please, I'm weak.
The T-Rex dropped to his knees. I explained that I'm not the enemy here and that I've come to save him. I didn't want to hurt you.
Too long have I been locked away, trapped and alone.
Not anymore. Cavemen all around have told me what happened to you. I want to help you get revenge for what Uga did.
I have dreamt of revenge. Uga must pay for all of this.
Then let's team up. You get revenge and I get his staff.
I need time to heal. If we are to face his tribe, I must rest. Go craft a saddle. It would be my honor to ride into battle with you. Thank you for saving me, friend.
A new ally on this Stone Age journey. I decided to explore the area in which Scar was kept and found a chest filled with skulls. I also grabbed the resources nearby. I guess it's time to head back. Whilst exiting the temple, I bumped into another evil ancient, but I was in no condition to fight, so I hopped down and clutched with a water bucket. I then headed into the woods and made myself a crafting table to check out the crafting recipe for the T-Rex saddle. I can't wait to ride into battle on a T-Rex. Also, who knew mammoths were so aggressive in the Stone Age? I explored the beautiful landscapes and then eventually made it home, headed up to my crafting station, and I crafted a full set of bone armor using the skulls from Scar's prison. Look how amazing this looks. The next day, I grabbed some members of my tribe to head out and grab the things I would need to craft the T-Rex saddle. It was a solid few days collecting resources, defeating slimes, and fighting mobs, all whilst collecting diamonds along the way. We made a pretty good team, my cavemen and I. The last component I needed was leather, so I killed a few cows, grabbed some leather, and crafted the T-Rex saddle. We were getting closer and closer to getting my hands on that skull staff. I was so excited to give Scar the saddle I had crafted, so I headed down to greet him. But when I reached the prison, he wasn't here. There was no sign of Scar.
Sorry, kid.
Oh, my head.
Uga's paying us a lot of dino meat for this. Don't try anything stupid.
You don't scare me.
Oh, whatever, loser. Keep talking while you still have a tongue.
Uga must be friends with this tribe if he's paying them to capture me. These guys were terrifying. I had to get out of here as soon as possible, so I started breaking my way out of the cage and sneaking past one of the tribal minions. I managed to locate the chest with all of my loot inside. Now all I had to do was escape. The cavemen mercenaries were furious. I had to think of a way out. I jumped between them, but then I was completely bombarded by the tribe. It was time to fight. Using my caveman instincts, I managed to defend myself against the first wave, but then the mercenary began to battle me with his giant blade. He struck me and sliced me, hitting me into the air. He may have had brutal attacks, but he couldn't withstand the bleeding effect from my sword, and I watched as he dropped to his knees. He lacked the strength to continue fighting on. But it wasn't over! This caveman seemed to be a conjurer of some sorts, and was summoning things from the ground. He used his giant staff to launch attacks at me, doing light damage. He seemed to be regenerating his own health while sporadically spinning that staff high into the sky. His attacks were relentless. I couldn't seem to breathe. I was suffocated by enemies. After the final wave of these encapsulated bugs, he seemed tired, so I headed in to strike him down. After an exhausting fight, I managed to defeat the ones that had captured me. Now it was time to head home through sandstorms. You see, this is why I like the jungle. This is infuriating. The sandstorm was kicking me high into the sky, and every time I tried to make a move, the wind blew me backwards. Once the storm calmed down, I headed home, and it took me days, but waiting for me was Scar. Somehow he managed to find the jungle in which I live, so I headed over to ask him how on earth he managed to find me.
I followed your scent, of course. Now, the saddle boy.
I placed the saddle on Scar's back. This was it, the moment Dino and Caveman become friends. I couldn't believe it. I was riding on the back of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. If this doesn't make me the coolest caveman ever, then I don't know what will. We made the ultimate team and dedicated the next few days to recruiting even more caveman into my army. How could they say no? There's a giant T-Rex there. The cavemen followed me and Scar all the way home. The fight for that staff and the battle with Uga's tribe was just around the corner, but first I wanted to make a small living space for Scar. I wasn't just gonna let him roam around the cave. I kept it pretty simple, terraforming the area using stone brick blocks, also Scar could have a cozy area to sleep in. It was time to head out and face the Uga tribe and get that staff. I rallied up my men. My brothers, this will be a tough fight, and some will fall to the Uga tribe, but together we can defeat Uga, and we can get that staff. Oh! I headed out with my caveman tribe towards Uga Kingdom. My cavemen were ready, and so were Scar and I. We headed in. This was the moment. We had penetrated the perimeter and headed in to fight. Scar noticed enemies up ahead. We headed in and battled the Uga tribe. Men were falling left, right, and center. This was a brutal battle. My tribe and I successfully cleared the area of Uga's men. The next step was finding Uga himself, and I needed to do this quest alone. I was in the heart of Uga Kingdom now, and I could tell that's where the evil caveman was hiding, so I headed in and defeated the bodyguards guarding him. Their sharp spears weren't sharp enough to pierce the bone armor I had crafted. It was time to head up. The giant evil caveman came stomping towards me from the shadows.
Come from the skull staff again, have we?
Yeah, but this time I brought an army. Give it up, Uga.
You think a few cavemen can save you? This time you won't make it out alive!
Uga slammed his skull staff into the ground, leaving me with just half a heart. He was way stronger than I anticipated, so I had to create some distance and pick my slices. I was slipping and ducking his staff, but he grew in strength. He was relentless, chasing me down at every moment. He was powerful, but I saw an opening and decided to strike him with my sword, dealing huge amounts of damage, and the bleeding effect started to kick in. A few more hits, this would be it, and then I would have my hands on that staff. I defeated the evil caveman! There it is, the skull staff in all its glory. I headed over to pick it up. I couldn't believe I wielded all of its power, but I still didn't know what its ability was. But then a strange sound occurred, and then I had morphed into a dinosaur. I could fly. This was amazing. I was flying through the jungle, the wind through my hair. I was unstoppable. I couldn't believe this power that I had obtained. I perched myself down on a beach and decided to look at the actual ability of the staff. I could morph into any creature, so I tried it out on this raptor. This is unbelievable. This makes me the most powerful caveman of all time. After this, I headed home and celebrated with my tribe that we defeated Uga, and I managed to get my hands on the skull staff. But I had one more idea. Seeing I had all this power, I wanted to use it to unite all of the tribes together to create peace. So I disguised myself as each tribe and convinced all the caveman tribes to join together in peace. I traveled far and wide, wielding the power of this staff to morph myself into the different caveman. I even convinced the Uga tribe to join together. They were on board, so they followed me back home. Once I had returned, it warmed my heart to see all of the different tribes in unity. This was beautiful. I successfully ended the 100 days with the greatest caveman army in all of ancient history. Thank you so much to each and every single one of you that watched the video. If you enjoyed it, click that like button and maybe consider subscribing. Thanks again to Genshin Impact for sponsoring the video. Don't forget to click that link in the description below. And also, big news! I have a Minecraft server, so if you want to chill out in survival with me, hop on that link up top. I'll see you there. Peace.